Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Dark Roast. I'm Donna Stroll, and I'm here with the always lovely and talented Rose Short. And today's topic is going to be about the future of e-commerce and affiliate marketing in a synergies. The amalgamation thereof. That's it. Because times they are a changing. So
Yes, they are. And e-commerce is going to be a huge deal for that.
yeah, and I mean, so because the online world is shifting again. So if you've been doing affiliate marketing, you've seen it, right? If you've been running an online shop, you've seen it. There's more competition. It's just a fact. As people get more aware, especially when economies get hard, people start looking for alternative ways to make money. And the online, it's a great big world, right? So you start to see more competition. You start to see ad costs going up because there's more people out there, and they figure, supply and demand, my friend, supply and demand. And it just makes people scroll a lot faster because they're getting tired of being inundated with ads. They're following you everywhere. You look up something here, and the next thing you know, on every social media platform, everywhere else, you're just being bombarded with ads, right?
Oh, yeah. Even in the middle of reels now, it's really frustrating.
But there is some good news in that we are entering a new era where creators and e-commerce are starting to come together. They're becoming one and the same, right? If you sell or have, whether you're an affiliate or you have your own shop, or even if you have like a brick and mortar shop, something small, maybe you go to craft fairs, maybe you go to the local things that happen and you sell your wares. You have to sort of start becoming a creator as well. And now I know a lot of people are like, but the reality is it's not about pushing products. It's about building connection. And that's where that creator energy comes from, right? That's why it's starting to become more and more important that you build that into your business.
Yeah, and I think it's super important you do it the right way versus I think the negative hooks have gotten a little out of control where it's the person sobbing in the camera about just stay 10 seconds and you'll save my business. Maybe there's some truth to those, but it seems like a kind of backhanded way to try to get support. So there's better ways to make content to push your e-commerce.
Absolutely.
But so let's talk about e-commerce, right? Because even with people trying to boycott Amazon and stuff like that, online shopping isn't slowing down, right? And so we've got to just keep moving forward. So how do you do that? Affiliate marketing, right?
Yeah.
Link and pray, we've already talked about, throw it at the wall and hope it sticks. It doesn't work. It never really did, but it really doesn't work in today's modern age. Even what was working in 2020 when we started, the trends are not the same. It's not the same kind of space that we're in. So creators are blending recommendations naturally into their content and they are crushing it, right? Because again,
Yeah.
it's authentic, it's real, it's raw, it's not the clickbait, it's not, you don't see the same kind of reel 5 times in your feed. It's really, really creative and, like I said, authentic. And that's what really resonates, especially in today's modern world.
Yeah, I remember the whole like you go on, you'd be on Instagram or on Facebook or TikTok, and you would literally see almost word for word the same reel, just a different face doing it, whether it was pointing to the little words or saying the same things. And it's the first time it seems honest, but after you see it 5 or 6 times, you start to go, that's, it's just another car sales ad, right?
Yeah, exactly. So then you also have, TikTok Shops obviously integrates really, really well with your Reels, Substack, Shopify collabs obviously makes selling really, really seamless. Instagram allows you to link to products. Facebook allows you to link to products. YouTube Shorts allows you to link to products. So almost everything allows you to link a product to your content now. So
Yeah.
it's almost ridiculous not to take advantage of that,
I,
especially if you have an offer that's doing really, really well or a product that you really, really love.
yeah, like the Substack, I see a lot with actually threads, right? Which is a mostly text based, right? There is images, but mostly it's a text based kind of platform. And people will provide like sort of, some threads, some information, but they all link back to their Substacks, whether they're authors or they are creators of a different sort, like where they have blogs and stuff like that, providing information. Some are selling courses, that kind of thing, information like that. And I find that really interesting because that's, again, it's another way to leverage your community, without being salesy, without being pushy. You're a creator, and that's one where you're not showing your face all the time, is another one. So just because you're a creator does not mean that you have to be face forward and, doing your reels and your TikToks. There are other ways to be a creator and utilize that and build that trust and authenticity without, having to dance on camera. You are not a monkey.
Right. And you don't have to be an influencer, right? Like, I don't consider myself an influencer. I consider myself a content creator. And as long as you're influential, then, it's fine. If you have a small account following, but you're really close with that account or that group, or, you've got a small, like they're in your school community or even a Facebook community, and they're really engaged and, really interested in the products that you promote and whatnot, you're still going to get sales without having the millions and millions of followers, because these people that are following you are authentically following you because they like you and like what you do. So,
And they
don't
will
think you
tell
have to
their
be.
friends.
Yes, yes, they will. But so you don't have to have these huge, Kardashian level accounts to be making money.
Yeah, and that's, that harkens back to the micro influencers, right? They have 1,000 people, or they have, between 1,000 and 10,000 people. They're not massive influencers, but they do have some connections, and then they're good people to connect with, right? Or if you or yourself have like over 1,000 people and they trust you and they actually follow and interact with you, then you've already got that community, you've already got that step, right? So the future of e-commerce is like small shops, big topics, big moves, but it's shifting to niche communities. Like we talked, what is it, two weeks ago, about that hyper localization, or getting that community. This is where it's shifting really strongly. We always say make sure you've got your niche set down, right, so that you know who you're talking to. But it's almost getting smaller because people are feeling overwhelmed, right? We're feeling overwhelmed with the nonstop bombardment from the world. The world is getting smaller too, right? The more connected we get, the smaller everything gets because we know what's going on everywhere.
Mhm.
So, people are trying to maybe narrow their focus down a bit, narrow their communities down a bit so that they're not being bombarded from everywhere with everything, right? Small value based brands are thriving by connecting emotionally, right? Because there is a lot going on. So if you can reach your people and reach them and connect to them emotionally, you're obviously going to do much better because we buy based on emotions more than we do on practicality, And if you can mix the practicality of whatever it is that you're promoting along with the emotional, quotient of that, you're a rock star. It's gonna go like crazy. So yeah, it's not mass marketing. It's
Yeah.
it's micro tribes, right? It's that small. We want personal service again. Like you look at the old movies, and some dude drives up to the gas station, and there's like three guys out there. One's checking the oil, one's washing the windows. That kind of stuff. Now we're not going to go back to that because that's just crazy. But we do want some of that personal touch, and not the You walk into a store and every 3 steps somebody's like, do you need any help? Do you need any help? Because they're based on commission. They want to actually feel helped,
Yeah.
right? It reminds me of a time I was at work. I was like probably 19, I think, and my pants blew a hole. And I had this was like total pretty woman moment. I had my wallet in my hand. I went up to the corner. This was like on a corner of like in Vancouver, downtown Vancouver, massive, like expensive area. Walked into a store, had my wallet in my hand, had my coat tied around, but I was wearing like jeans, because I was, I didn't need to be. And I had like some bomber jacket thing tied around me. And I stood there and I walked around with my wallet in my hand trying to find something, and no one would help me. And then I was like, well, screw this. So I walked up to a store called Brian's, which is like a mass women's wear place. This gal, she was slammed, and saw me. She saw me stressed out. She had me fully outfitted and back out that door within like 15 minutes, made me feel amazing. Spent like a third of what I would have spent to just buy a pair of pants at this other place. That's what people need, right? That's what they want. And I did phone that original store and talk to their manager, because the lady was on the phone the entire time and she would not help me. I was like, well, I don't care if you get fired, because yeah, customer service, man.
Yep. Yeah, you see it so often. It's so sad. People just judge by. But then, like, you have the flip side of it too, where you have the influencer that sets up their camera and they're like, oh, I was in this store for 15 minutes and no one approached me. And it's like, well, you've got your camera there. What do you expect? They probably just thought you were making content. Like,
Yeah. They're trying to
so,
actually do you a favor, right? Saying
right.
have your
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Or even worse, the ones that are being told not to film in the store and continue to film. Like, don't be that
Yeah.
guy. Don't be that person. Come on.
No, no, no. Again, that's going back to the authenticity and the being respectful and responsive to your customers, your clients, your future customers and clients, right? What you do matters, and what you put out there matters, and how you treat people matters. And it's becoming more and more important as we are being inundated with people who, with this attitude, I wouldn't even say people, just an attitude, an overall attitude of me first.
Yeah.
And if you are in the marketing space, whether you're an affiliate, whether you have your own shop, your own online store, digital or physical products, whether you have your own small brick and mortar kind of thing, it really matters how you treat people. Like, you cannot, it's really important. So
Yeah. And even with things like AI, UGC content, which we're going to see more of, things with like HeyGen that can make an AI avatar that you can use to make videos. These things are really good tools. I'm not against them, but I would say use them responsibly.
yeah.
Make sure that do put that it's AI. And if you think that your followers are going to be concerned, put out a statement and just say why you're using it, right? Maybe you're just testing it. Maybe it's going to save you a lot of time and energy. And you can use it for evergreen type content, but I'd be very careful about using it to promote something that you are not using or that you don't already have.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I am on two different sides of the internet when it comes to AI. And so I see like the all for and the all against. And I see the extreme sides of both of it. And I understand why, because there's a lot of authors and artists who are dead set against it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's ripping off some of their stuff. And I see the marketers who are 100% for it, because it's saving them time. It's giving them opportunities where they wouldn't have. It's making it a lot easier for solopreneurs to be able to build and create. So your job is to walk that line and recognize that AI is a tool. It is not there to replace you. It is not there to replace people who have experience. It's there to help you grow and build out your content. And so, yeah, and definitely make sure that you notate it. Like I do see one ad, it's for Tai Chi, and like it looks very real. Like the woman is talking and it's very serious. And then at the bottom in like really pale, you can see this is AI generated. I'm like, I would not have known. And I'm grateful that they did put that there because I feel I would be upset if I found out down the road that I invested in something and it wasn't even real. Like, how do I know that this is real? I need to see the person behind this. So,
Yeah, I've never seen the one with the chick. I always get the one with the dude, but I'm like, this looks too. And then I saw that, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. It just flat out says like, I am not a real person. I am AI generated. Like, okay, or I'm not 60 years old. I'm AI generated or something.
yeah. Yeah. So
All
I
right.
find it interesting, but yeah. So again, like, but that all ties right back down into authenticity. Yes, we went sort of a little bit off, but
Yeah. So bringing it back to what we were discussing. So where does it all blend when it comes to affiliate and e-commerce, right? Well, you can make that into a single ecosystem pretty easily, right? The best brand partners are using creators or partnering with creators. Using sounds kind of mean. To co-build communities, right? You see this really well with like Buff Bunny and a lot of the fitness gurus is the one that I see the most because that's just kind of what I follow. But think of it in terms of like Nike and athletes, right? It's the same kind of thing. You've got this really well known brand and this really well known person, or maybe even not that well known, but person that's authentic and brings a good energy. They want to partner up because that's how they both get a little bit more exposure and probably more sales.
yep. And
So, okay,
I was just going to say, and I mean, those are big, but they don't have to be that big, right?
yeah,
You can go small.
yeah. I'm just trying to like,
Yep,
but make it
absolutely.
clear. But yeah, so co-branding products, sharing storytelling, and cross promotion, right? Those three things are a win-win-win. It's going to get, again, both of you more visibility, probably bring more sales. It's where you can really showcase how authentic and creative you can be with the other brand. Bones Coffee, when they first came out, one of the things that set them apart was they had one of their adverts was this big bearded dude who was just getting covered in chocolate and caramel and all this other stuff because they were talking about how flavorful their flavored coffees are. And it was hysterical, because you got this big, like, mean looking dude, and then all of a sudden he's just like, flash dancing in caramel, basically. It was great. It was wonderful. Um, but that's where you again can stand out, and that's where your authenticity becomes your biggest and maybe that company's biggest asset.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you think user generated content, right? This is really what that's a really tight tie into that is the user generated content, um, because you're sharing your experiences, your personality, and everything else to help that brand, but that brand's notoriety, it's already built. It's what's the word? Damn it. I hate it when I lose words in the middle of a sentence.
Established?
Yes, it's already established. So it's got that, and then it lends credibility to you. So that's that synergy that we're looking for. And it doesn't matter if it's an affiliate, make money online, or it's a training course on how to use AI, because we discussed that earlier, or it's a cooking set that you like to use. It really doesn't matter what it is. That connection between the two of you or three of you, I mean, it could be more than one, right? That's really going to help build your authority, and it's going to help them promote what they're doing because you're adding more credibility, because as long as you're authentic, you know, you're adding to their credibility as well, which, it's a nice little cycle of building each other up. And that's really great for your micro influencers, right? Because they already have their community. It's not a big community, but it's, at least 10, it's over 1,000 people. Maybe you don't have that, right? It's going to be like up to 10,000 people. Maybe you don't have that 10,000 people, but this is an excellent way to connect and build and grow. So, So, if you're thinking for the next 12 months, right? Because we're getting close to the end of the year, and so it's a good time to start strategizing and planning for your upcoming year ahead. You want to pick a niche that you really care about. Like that's number one. And we always say that, and I find that people when they get new into online marketing, especially, you kind of get dragged into a niche because you're learning, right? You're learning how to do it. So you get sort of sucked into something that maybe isn't your jam, but you don't know, right? You don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So um, take some time, review what it is that you're selling or where you stepped in, and see if that really does align with who you are, what your needs are, what your future, what you're thinking and seeing your future as. Does it actually align with you? Does it make you feel icky when you do it? Or do you feel like super involved and this is amazing and I want to share this with everybody? Because if you don't have the latter, it's going to be really hard for you to maintain and promote without sort of wishing that you were doing something else, right?
Yeah. Well, and make sure it ties in with your personality too, right? Like if you are not trying to be your brand, keep that in mind, right? If you're trying to build a faceless brand type thing, there's some offers that are just not going to work for that, but there are some that will. So keep that in
Yeah,
mind as well.
absolutely. And then you want to post your helpful content regularly because, again, if you're really good at this, like Rachel Peterson is really good at this. She's a social media marketer and she teaches social media marketing. And she is really good at promoting with an open hand, with giving a lot and helping people along. Um, and being very open with her own ups and downs and trials and struggles and stuff like that. Um, she's really good at providing a lot of helpful content that gets people, really super connected and really loyal to her, even when things go sideways, right? So you want to make sure that you're posting that helpful content. Always lead with an open hand. Your goal is to bring people in and make them want to spend more time and listen to you, right? So then this is your favorite.
Data track. You got to track. You just got it. I know it sucks for some people. But I promise once you start analyzing data, like it becomes almost an addiction because it's just really neat to see, what works, what doesn't, especially when you're not really sure right away what worked. Like if a video just takes off and you're like, I spent 5 seconds on that video. Why did it explode? Right? Like digging into what worked and replicating that can be a lot of fun. Now, sometimes it's not replicable, right? Sometimes they are just a one off that like it just happened to work, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you can replicate what's working and maybe post less of what isn't working, maybe what's not working is the content you love to create the most. That's okay. You can still create it, but just keep in mind maybe you create a little bit less of that and put a little more time and energy into what does work.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, as we said, you've got to be transparent. Your audience is going to respect your honesty. And that's your ups and your downs, things that sort of go sideways on you, because that makes you a human being, which makes it much easier for them to relate to you. And also, when you're telling your stories, because some things will never change, in sales. And part of that is your story. People want to know what you are, who you are, where you come from, why you're there, how you landed on this, because they want to be able to relate to you. And if they can't relate to you, they'll move on. And don't worry if you don't relate to everyone. You're not going to. Not everyone, when you look out there, not everyone relates to you either, right? Like some people you're going to go, yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense to me. Or I just, you know what? It makes sense, but not from you. And that's not a personal failing. That's just a reality. We don't click with everyone, right? So, but your story is going to click with some people. So make sure you figure out a way to say it and tell it and refine it. And this is where AI can help you, right? Put in your story as raw as you can think of what it is. Like maybe even if it's just bullet points of, well, I was here and this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. I don't know how to. That's where something like ChatGPT or Claude can help you refine that into an actual origin story that you can then tweak and use and break apart and clean up and make it much more your own tone, but still help you, give you that breakdown and make it a lot easier for you. But your authenticity and your honesty is what's really going to pull people in, and that's why you don't need that big, $1 million, million people account or 200,000 person account. You just need small. You know, it's
Yep.
because that's where your honesty is, right? So
Yep.
that's for the affiliates. So for your small business owners, now these are your people who have the shops, or who are creators, who are building, whatever, they're sewing, or they're crafting, or they actually are selling books or whatever. This is where you have to invest a little bit of money, right?
So I like that you put this in here because there has been an interesting trend across Instagram lately of small businesses posting, say it's a restaurant, right? It's just like an employee eating a meal, and the caption is some influencer wanted 5 grand to post our restaurant, but so here we are showing, like, one of our favorite meals or something like that. So there is, when you're reaching out to creators, make sure you're reaching out to ones that don't think that they're the greatest gift to everything, because you might get charged a lot, right? So reach out. This is where micro influencers come in handy because they're usually willing to take a little bit less money because they understand their reach isn't as far. And some of the big creators too, don't get me wrong, are very down to earth and will be willing to help. But just understand the first couple of creators you reach out to might put a sour taste in your mouth if you reach out to the wrong ones.
Yeah. And that's why it's called investing, right? It's not everyone's going to work out. And again, your creators, you could put a call out to people, if you've got, say you have a Facebook page, right? And you have people that are responding and stuff like that. Maybe one of those people on your Facebook page, one of those customers who loves your stuff, has a good reach. They have a big connection, and it's a local connection, right? So you could reach out to them directly and say, hey, have you ever thought about, would you be interested in? So those are opportunities that are not necessarily the obvious ones, but they're there, especially if you have people who are, like I say, they like your product, they've been vocal about liking your product, and they have somewhat of a reach. Then those might be the people that you reach out to, and that you invest in to help build up your business. Again, you're going to want to tell stories, not sales pitches, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to, you know, I'm not connected to you because I see an ad on TV for the local plumbers, right? I need the story. The only time I might be interested is if your ad is funny. But, generally speaking, I'm not interested in that. But if you tell stories and you show why you're important, why I should look at you and be more interested in you than maybe somebody else in the same business in my area, um, it's going to come down to the story. It's going to come down to me thinking, you know what, I actually really want to work with these people because they give me a sense that they are honest and that they really do care about the community that they're in. That's huge. And then you can build loyalty through community, like I said, but then that's using your emails, have a membership, user generated content. Hey, if you've used our product, please, if you've been to our crystal store, you really liked it, please, share some information about that. And you can use that on your own webpage if you ask them. Again, ask them, right? If they can, if you can share it on your Facebook page or on your website or something like that. So, there's opportunities for small business owners as well. It's not just for affiliates and Amazon affiliates or Shopify or that kind of thing. It's for your Etsy people and for your crafters and for your brick and mortars. So it's for everybody.
Yeah, and Instagram, so I've gotten a notification a couple of times where it's like, hey, this brand that you tagged is, wanting permission to put this on their main page, or like are putting this on their main. I don't remember if there's a permission thing or not. I don't think it was. But if that happens 3 or 4 times, they might really start looking at you and be like, you know what? Maybe we should bring this person in. Maybe we should do an actual like collab.
Yeah.
And so don't, your free content that they might be using can lead to bigger things. So don't get frustrated by that. Take it as a win. Even celebrate it, post it, whatever, because it can lead to bigger, better things.
And also use that as an opportunity, as an open door to contact them directly.
Mhm.
Right? If they've taken the initiative to reuse your content that mentioned them, that's a door that's just been opened for you to reach out to them and say, "Hey, I'd love to be able to, work with you again in the future." That kind of stuff. So, these are all opportunities. Everything's an opportunity if you look at it from the right angle.
I like that.
So, last thoughts here that we have for you guys. Affiliate and e-commerce aren't separate things anymore, right? They are definitely all mashed up together. Um, we still talk about them sometimes as separate things, but really they're not. They're very much connected, um, especially when you start looking at things like Amazon or Shopify or any of the print on demand type things. Those are all affiliate type things. Zazzle is another one that's, you're it's your stuff, but you're getting only a piece of that pie, right? So, and you're getting less than if you had actually went out and bought all the hard stuff. It just makes it easier for you. You don't have to deal with all of the logistics part of it. So, but so it's all coming together. They're all chapters of the same playbook. So you need to be able to learn to blend them. And then that's going to help you build something that lasts. You can no longer just have a link and promote that link and be 1000% salesy. I know there's no such thing as like anything more than 100. Don't argue with me. But you need to be much more a creator as well as a salesperson. And you need to be able to blend those much more confidently, or work with people who can do it for you so that you don't have to do it, right?
Yeah, closers get paid a high salary for a reason, right?
Yeah. So next week.
Yes. We're going to talk about auditing, which I love
Yeah.
because it's data. But more specifically, affiliate program auditing and how to evaluate if your time is being well spent. We've been through this a couple times, right? So there's been a few programs we've had to drop for various reasons, typically not getting paid, but we'll talk more about that next week.
Yep, it's your job to evaluate, and that's what we're going to discuss. So that is it, and that is all for today, folks. Bye. If you found this helpful, please drop a comment, share, and hit that subscribe button. Your feedback is super helpful in growing this channel.
And of course, if you have any questions or if there's any specific thing that you would like us to talk about, drop that in the comments too. Happy Friday!
Happy Friday, everyone.